I'll never forget how I found out that I was pregnant. It was 2013. I was downstairs at my mother and father-in-law's house, and my father-in-law, Alan, looked at me and he said, "Girl, are you pregnant?" And I looked at him and I said, "No, you're crazy. I am not pregnant." Well, a week later, I took a pregnancy test, and he was right. I was pregnant. Finding out I was pregnant in active addiction was so horrible because I felt so much guilt and shame. You know, a normal person, when they find out they're pregnant, they are rejoicing and they're celebrating. But I was full of guilt, shame, and fear. At that point in my life, I had been addicted to drugs for 15 years. How was I going to get sober? How was I going to be able to change my life? How was I going to be able to afford this new little life that was going to be depending on me? What was I going to do? I tried to get sober many times throughout my 9 months of being pregnant, but I failed miserably. And July 4th of 2014, I gave birth to my beautiful little boy, Nathaniel Alexander Pridre. My son saved my life. He literally saved my life. When they handed me my son and I looked down at him, it was love at first sight. And I remember thinking in my mind, please God, if I can leave this hospital, I will never use drugs again. I sat there and I said a prayer to please allow me to take my baby home, because I just knew that they were going to take him from me because I gave birth under the influence of methamphetamine. God must have heard my prayers that day because he performed a miracle in my life. And 2 days later, I was able to walk out of that hospital with my beautiful little son in tow and start my sobriety journey. For 90 days, I white-knuckled it with no support, no recovery support, no therapies, and I was in postpartum depression. My father-in-law noticed, and he took me to the doctor, and they placed me on Lexapro. But it was already too late because I had self-medicated and relapsed and taken Xanax. That Xanax led me back to intravenous opioids and methamphetamine, and I was back to the races. For the next year, my mother and father-in-law would take care of my little boy when I could not take care of him myself. And I am so grateful that they were there to step in when I was not well. July 2nd of 2015, Child Protective Services came knocking on my door. My best friend had called CPS. She was mad. She was mad because I had collected a debt that she owed me from her boyfriend, $30. $30. She called CPS on me. I used to be really, really mad at that, but now I look back on that experience and I realize that it saved my life. Even if she wasn't trying to save my life, and she was just doing it out of spite, God intervened and gave me the strength to change, and I got sober. Now, it wasn't easy at all. They had me jumping through hoops with CPS. I had to go to parenting classes. They made me take 3 psychological evaluations. My husband was an outpatient. I was an inpatient. We jumped through hoops. And then right when we were about to get our son back, they said, "Oh, you can't have him back until you get off Suboxone." And that was the first time I ever experienced the stigma behind medication-assisted treatment from the damn judge. Nope, it was actually the attorney ad litem. I take that back. The attorney ad litem was the one who was showing the stigma. The judge is the one who gave us a chance to speak our case. And I brought my therapist, my counselor, my doctor, the nurses to the next court date, and we fucking put that education on them, and we won, and we got to take Nate home. They heard us out, and we ended up winning. It took us about a year to get our case closed, but our baby was able to come home with us around the 10-month mark, and I could not have been happier. This was one of our celebrations we were having at Chuck E. Cheese, and you can see my little boy's little face and how happy he was there. Being without my son for that 10 months and only getting to see him at visitations was excruciating. It was the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life, and I wouldn't wish it upon my worst fucking enemy. Instead of taking our beautiful son away from us, what I truly think should have been done was our son should have been placed with my mother and father-in-law, and me and my husband should have been, put into treatment, and our son should have stayed within our family. But no, CPS was grimy as hell, and they wouldn't allow my son to go with his grandparents because they only care about money. And that's exactly what all this was about from the very beginning, was them getting money for my son. And I'm so grateful that I snapped out of it and I got sober, because if I hadn't, they would have railroaded us. And they tried. They tried their damnness. But I fought like hell. My son means everything to me. And every single day I make sacrifices to make his life better. He is my main focus, and he is the main reason why I do everything that I do. The reason why I work a job, the reason why I stay sober, the reason why I get up in the morning, the reason why I do everything is to make his life better. He is the best thing that ever happened to me, and I truly believe that God intervened and saved my son from me, and my son was protected through those months that I was pregnant and addicted. If you're somebody that's struggling with addiction and pregnancy, I want you to know that you're not alone, and that you can reach out to me anytime, and I'll do the best I can to help you with anything you need help with. Please do not beat yourself up. Do not let the shame and the guilt and the fear keep you from getting the help that you need so you can be the best mother that I know you can be. This is my mama. Today I get to be the best mother I know I can be. The kind of mother that my mother was to me. And today I got to take my son to the pumpkin patch. And we had the best time, the time of our lives. Kids are resilient. And they really just want you to love them and be there for them and have stable structure for them. And so if you're struggling with addiction and you are pregnant or you have children, please, please, please know that you can get out of that. As long as there is breath left in your lungs, there is still hope. Don't give up on your babies. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my baby Nate.